Hey everybody, this is going to be a different show tonight. We're just going to get started. Your host, Steven Sims.
Hey, Fat Mike, how's it going?
Pretty good.
I already made the first F up of the night and put Darren on by
I
accident.
know. I know. I saw Darren.
How's it going, man?
I'm alright.
You seem like you're getting adjusted.
Yeah, I was not adjusted before. I was not prepared. I thought I had more time before it popped my pretty little face up.
Oh, that's okay. I change it every time. Well, thanks for doing this. I just want to welcome everyone to, like Fat Mike said, this is a different show tonight. No marshmallow shooters, no brackets. We're going to be hanging out, talking about our good friend Bryan Rosie Scheller. The guy means the world to us, and we lost him a year ago, and we just want to pay tribute to him tonight. We got some special guests. I'm going to bring them in one at a time. First, we have obviously our daily announcer or weekly announcer, Fat Mike, who was very close to Rosie. And Fat, everyone always says you're the Van Wilder of Robert Morris, and I always think, you pledged with Rosie, and then but you didn't get into the actual. We were all in a fraternity together, and I don't know. You tell the story. How did you meet Rosie?
He just showed up to accept his fraternity bid one night. He was just this quiet, red-faced boy, and throughout the years we watched him become a man.
We really did, and we're going to share some fun stories tonight, and that's a good time to bring in another friend of Rosie and a friend of the show. They call him the Pretzel King here at SIMS TV, ladies and gentlemen, Jean-Marc.
What's going on, guys?
How's it going, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. So, I wanted to know how you knew Rosie, and we talked about it a little bit the other day. But why don't you give a quick how you met Rosie and what your relationship with him was, and how you knew him all these years?
So I met Rosie. Obviously, we were all fraternity brothers. But you guys had these wild stories of Rosie, and I saw a different side of him. He was more responsible, always keeping everybody together, and fun-loving guy. So that's the way that I knew him. He was very fraternity based and very responsible.
It's so funny because, I didn't even get a chance to say how I knew Rosie. I was a year older than Rosie in college. So I was a sophomore when he pledged Phi Delta Theta. And I knew a Rosie that went from young and innocent to wild and crazy. And then I left and moved to California. And apparently Rosie became the responsible one that kind of kept things together for the fraternity.
Yeah, he really did. I know Mike was still there with me. He just seemed to come around a lot more, and he brought the fraternity back. I mean, I think we were down to like 5 or 6 guys, and I think we're the biggest fraternity on campus now. So
that's fantastic. I was so happy to hear that when you told me, because I mean, Rosie had his moments, man, and they were great. But to hear that he pulled everyone together and kept you guys around was fantastic. We want to bring on another guest, another good friend of the show. This next gentleman is not only a good friend was a good friend of Rosie's and knew him a very long time, much longer than any of us. That was a really loud spit, Fat Mike. You got like a microphone in that platoon.
These headphones are sensitive.
But I want to bring on a friend of the show, someone who's been watching Sims TV for a very long time, since our early days. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Trinidad. What's up, Chris? How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Good evening.
Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Anytime.
So we didn't have a chance to chat before in the green room, so to speak. But how many years did you know Rosie?
Oh, we were best friends since before kindergarten. He grew up 5 houses down the street.
And you guys went to Robert Morris together,
Yeah.
and you both were in different fraternities, but, still very close friends, obviously. We didn't have that type of problem there.
No, I mean, we're all brothers up there, so.
Well, this is great. We got all walks of life here, and look at these handsome bearded men. Let's bring on someone else, and then we're going to get to we're going to kind of let you guys how we're going to run the show. Another guy who knew Rosie from way back in the day, my good friend and former Fat Mike's writing that essay again.
I'm just trying to type in the chat comment. Here,
here, I'll put it up. I'll put it up before we before we cut to the next guy. If you want to join the live chat and share a Rosie story tonight, you are actually able to. We can get you on the video feed. We're going to leave this up here right now. You can just message me at Steven Sims. Just bear with me. I'm working on multiple screens here, and as Fat Mike and Chris and Jean know, I am not good at all of this, so bear with me. But if you want to talk a little bit, tell some Rosie stories, send me a message. We'll send you a link, and we'll go from there. With that being said, let's bring on our next guest, Bryan Spillner.
What's up, everybody?
Spillner, camera, a little too high up there on you.
Huh. You got the ceiling.
We did get the ceiling. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How's everybody?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. I mean, we're celebrating a guy that was one of the funniest, most lovable. Words can't even describe how lovable and funny he was. And then we'll get to that tonight. But like Chris Trinidad, you also knew Rosie before college, right?
Right. So, yeah, we went to high school together. And then, me and Mitch probably introduced him to the fraternity. Probably one of those first G5 parties. Took him from that innocent Rosie to kind of the wild and crazy kid that we knew, we loved, and then turned him back to the responsible guy at the end too. So when it was all said and done, so loved him. Spent a lot of good times with him. So he was a great guy.
He was a great guy. And again, if you knew Rosie in any walk of life and you want to hop in here and tell a story, it doesn't matter if you know me, it doesn't matter if you know any of these guys on the screen, please message me, Steven Sims on Facebook. If you're having trouble getting through, also, you're having trouble hearing Spillner? Are you sure, Fat Mike?
Yeah, I didn't hear him at all. It was just cut out.
Anyone else have problems hearing Spillner? I can hear him loud and clear.
I heard him.
Actually, he seemed a little too loud, if you ask me.
I think it's Fat Mike's old age, man.
Yeah. Fat Mike, how old are you now? 57, 59?
35, maybe? How old are you? I'm a year younger than you.
Damn, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna send links out here in a minute. Let's bring on our next guest real quick. He pledged the fraternity with Rosie. He's a wild man. He's been on the show before. And ladies and gentlemen, Darren DiNapoli.
How's it going? What's
Good,
up?
Darren, how are you?
Good, man. Nice to be on the show tonight. Again, we're here rocking out, talking about our boy Rosie.
Great to have you on the show, man. I'm sorry, I got stuff dinging over here because people are actually messaging me, and we got to get them on the feed. You knew Rosie because you actually you pledged with him back in what was that, 2003?
2003. Yes, we were. I think he was bond number 49, and I was bond number 50, and it was between the two of us, but he was a little bit more on the popular side with the brothers, and he was able to get the higher bond number. But it didn't matter because I was 50, and F50, 50 cent was the thing at that time. So I accepted the, that element of it. So he took number 49, but I was okay with that. So,
and you, more importantly, you were a film production major. You and I, you used Rosie in a lot of your films. What was that like?
Well, we needed a cowboy, and he fit the bill of this. I don't know. For some reason, I thought he looked good in a cowboy hat. So we put a cowboy hat on him, and we always used him in various random videos. Like he was a cattle rancher, which I actually think he owned cows. Is that correct? Right? He lived in an area where there was cows.
Trinidad, I don't know if he owned cows. I know he helped us get a cow for the cow.
Everybody's on a farm in Mars there.
Well, yeah, okay. So,
from a
that's the thing. I think we found out that he had cows or something. I think because cow patty bingo. I think that was one of those things that we did. And we did this video where we had Johnny Cash's Hurt video play, and he went down to the cafeteria and had this change of heart and about eating meat. It was just, it was like one of these ridiculous projects. We also did one where he he went down to the cafe. You know, the cafe was like the Cheers of Robert Morris. So I had him be that guy that like kind of, it was the place where everyone wanted to go. And he was sad and then he was happy. But Rosie was a character in a lot of my productions. All Male Review. You know, my 21st birthday. I got to say, he's one of those main key roles of my time in college and in post college. Pre-gaming in the parking lot at Dave's wedding was something that I'll never forget.
Rosie sure brought the memories. I mean, he, I moved away from Pittsburgh, like 13 years ago. And Rosie, I was just like looking on Facebook a couple hours ago. Rosie was always checking in on me, making sure I was okay. Like, he cared about people. We're waiting for a couple other people to join, but does anyone want to share a story or anything? And again, I just want to put it out there. We are live to the world. So I don't have a dump button, Fat Mike. So let's censor ourselves before we tell these stories.
Listen, I fully understand. I've been on the show before.
You have, and you're a team player. All right. Well, we got another gentleman who's joining us right now. We got two other gentlemen who are joining us. I can bring them in, but you guys have any stories? Anyone want to share anything real quick? I can bring you back, but I got to dip two out to get two more in. It's kind of like it's social distancing at its finest.
Well, I can say that Rosie was, he's one of those guys that he said, like, this is not a funny story, but he helped me become the student government president. So that was one thing I could say, is that when he came down, I remember plain as day coming down to the cafeteria and handing me that form and saying, "Hey man, you gotta sign up for SGA. There's an opening." So he was one of those guys that was, he encouraged me to go on. And I think I was the president for 2 years. I know I have a time lapse of what happened in college, some stuff, but I do remember it was him that came down and encouraged me to become the student government president. So that's a positive story about Rosie.
I want to get into my stories about Rosie, but I want to give everyone else the floor. Darren, I'm going to take you to backstage real quick, and we're going to bring out our next guest. Darren, we'll see you in a few minutes. Stay there, Darren. We want to talk more. Let's bring out Todd. Ladies and gentlemen, Rosie's good friend, Todd. How's it going, Todd?
What's up, Sims?
How you been?
Good. Long time no see, big brother.
Long time no see, little guy. You're looking good, man. Todd's a good friend of all of ours, and Todd put together a really great video that we're going to end the show with tonight. So make sure to stick around, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I also want to say, if you want to be on the stream, just send over a message. I'll send you a link. You'll be on here, and if you want to not be on the stream, but you want to share some Rosie stories, share them in the comments. We can actually put them up on the screen. We want to make this a fun night, and we want to remember our pal, and of course, have a drink for him. Does everyone have some type of cocktail? Oh, look at that. Fat Mike, this is a family show. So, Todd.
That's actually from Rosie.
Did Rosie give you that?
Yeah, that was the entertainment at my bachelor party.
Oh, the koozie.
Yeah.
Oh, that person on the koozie was the entertainment at your bachelor party.
Yeah, Samantha Roxy.
Yes.
Did Rosie take that photo?
Surprisingly, no, but he probably could have.
Rosie gave it the old college try. Yeah, he was trying to get the old college try to hook up with her, I think.
How do I not know who this is? Is she a dancer?
Yes.
She is
Put-in Bay.
in the Put-in-Bay, Sandusky, Ohio area.
Oh, geez. And let's just real quick. Fat Mike's wife wants to chime in. He lets our daughter use that koozie. So
Yes.
The spirit of Rosie is alive and well, and we love that. Thank you so much. And again, perfect example. If you have a Rosie story you want to share in the comments, we can put it on the screen. Thank you so much, Megan.
And just to clarify, Sims, Fat Mike and Megan's daughter is 6 years old.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And she's using a stripper koozie. So,
But she's got to learn young.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Fat Mike a lot these last couple weeks, and I've learned a lot about his parenting, and I love all of it. And if I ever have children, I want the book, the Fat Mike book to parenting. Todd, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll be sure to write that soon.
Yeah, get on it. Todd, how did you know Rosie, and tell us a little bit about your friendship with him?
So much like many of you, I knew Rosie through Phi Delta Theta, the fraternity we're all members of at Robert Morris. And when I think about Rosie, I think about him always being the center of the party. He was always the DJ for the suite that we lived in, so he always had good tunes pumping. But he knew, it seemed like, every single group on campus, whether it was the softball players or the soccer players or the baseball team or the softball team, whoever it was, everybody knew who Rosie was. He was like, big man on campus. Everybody loved him. And his face and even my family, like, that met him a couple times at family events or anything like that over the summer, that we would get together and have Rosie over. Even my neighbors across the street that have seen him once or twice, everybody, when you say the name Rosie, everybody knew exactly who you're talking about. And they were like, oh my God, I love that guy, because he was always such a good time. Always he didn't care who it was. I mean, we were always like, had rivals with some of the other fraternities on campuses, like KDRs or whatever. Rosie didn't care. He was like, I'll go drink with those guys. He would spend some Friday nights up in their suite drinking with them. But that's the kind of guy he was. I mean, he didn't care. He just wanted to share a beer with whoever would share a beer with him. And that's why his personality and everyone kind of gravitated towards him, because he just wanted to have a good time, no matter who it was. He didn't care. And, as we moved on and kind of graduated from college and people started having weddings and things like that, it was always Rosie's room that everyone gravitated to in the hotel or whatever, because he always had the pre-game party going and the Bluetooth speaker with the playlist going. And one of the last things that he did for everybody, which is kind of cool because he kind of lives on through it, is he made a Spotify playlist that was like all the G5 hits on Spotify, and we can all kind of listen to that and smile when we think about him pumping the tunes up in G5 at RMU. So that's kind of my memories of Rosie.
It's funny because I remember when Rosie took over the music. Spilner and I are a couple years older, and he took over the music in the suite. And it was so funny because Rosie's taste in music was so eclectic and so broad. So one day you'd hear country, next day you'd hear the Goo Goo Dolls, and then you'd be listening to like some 90s. Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't even
emo.
Yeah.
Emo, country, 90s, whatever it was. You didn't care.
We have another guy who's going to chime in a few minutes. Our good friend Mike Gensel. But I want to ask Trinidad, what was and Spilner? You can chime in too. You guys both knew him for years, and Chris especially. I mean, what was Rosie like pre-Robert Morris?
He was the same way. People loved him.
He brought so much joy. I remember we would have, every year at Robert Morris, if you were there at a certain time period, we would have something in April called Super Saturday. And some of us good old boys would have this winter Super Saturday. And we would do one in the middle of January when there was nothing going on. And we're all up in the suite drinking, and Rosie came up once and bust the door open. He was a freshman, and he has a sled, and it's snowing outside. And he goes, "Who wants to go sled riding?" And like a pin dropped. And it was just the most loving. He just loved life so much.
I think a testament to that was last year at the services that they had for him when he passed. There were people that didn't know him that live in that area where the funeral home was, and they said the line outside for people to go pay their respects for Rosie was the longest that they've ever seen since they lived there. And the one guy I know said he drives past that place every day, and he said he's never seen that many people there. But that's a testament to how many people he was friends with. I mean, it didn't matter who you were, where you're from, what fraternity you were in, what sport you played, what background, race you are. It didn't matter. He just want to have a good time, and everybody loved him and loved that about him.
I don't know if Mitch is watching, but if Business Mitch is watching, Mitch also went to Mars with you guys, right? So he knew Rosie. And one of my favorite Rosie stories was, I remember, and we're trying to get Gensel back on. He was on a minute ago, but then we lost him. Bad service area, I guess. But one of my favorite story was Mitch had like a New Year's party. So we were all on like break from school. And Rosie drove that Ranger, that old Ranger, or at least he did at one point. And we're at Mitch's parents' house in like the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And like Rosie's trying to like his truck. I can't remember. Spiller, were you there? Like his truck started going down the hill.
I was there. I can't remember either, man.
It was the funniest thing. He had like that Cartman hat on or whatever, that Kenny hat. I killed Kenny. And he was just like he got stuck and then his truck just went right down the hill. It was classic. Let's let Fat Mike, John Mark, Spilner, you guys got anything to share? Kevin Crawford's here. Lauren's here. Mitch is under. Okay, got it. That was not a public comment. If anyone else wants to join, send me a message. Let me put that up real quick. If you want to join the live stream, you can just message us. Should we do a toast for Rosie?
Sure.
I wish I could have music playing, but it totally would kick us off. I'm like, where's that koozie?
Samantha Roxy, there she is.
There she is. Celebrity in Put-in Bay. All right, to Rosie. Anyone want to lead the toast, Fat Mike? All right. Well, I will really take this one then. Rosie was absolutely one of a kind, and we're not wrapping things up just so everyone knows. We're just having a little toast here. If you want to join the stream, send us a message. But Rosie was just absolutely the belle of the ball, most fun, charismatic guy I have ever met and spent time with. And I'm actually upset that I didn't spend more time with Rosie. Moving away took me away from all you guys for so long, and it just kind of it sucks because he was planning a trip to LA with our buddy Gensel, and he was just a fantastic guy. So to Bryan, Rosie, Scheller. And Mitch wants to tell the truck story.
Oh, man.
My favorite part about Mitch is he's like, he won't take the direction. He won't message me. I got to message him. So why don't someone tell a story real quick while I message? And who wants to share another story? John Mark?
Yeah, I got one.
All right, take it away.
I was actually talking to Sims about this one earlier. 2 years ago, we were at Mark Himmel's place for a diaper party because he was about to have his first kid. And a bunch of us were there. I don't know if Chris was there. He might have been. But Fat Mike and myself, and who's the fourth one? It was Mark. We were wrapping things up. It was around like midnight. Rosie doesn't like the party to stop. So they were all drinking, and I was the only sober one. And they said, "You good to drive to a strip club?" I said, "Sure, why not? Let's go." We drive to West Virginia from Burgettstown. We go to the strip club. It's 3 a.m. We get out of the strip club. We go to McDonald's. This is when everything just stopped. Rosie wanted to buy everybody a steak, egg, and cheese bagel sandwich.
Dude,
They told him no.
Loved those things.
He loved them. They
Dude,
said, "Sorry,
like,
sir."
we don't have any. And he
What time
protested
was it?
from the back seat?
Like 3:30.
This was probably 4 a.m. Yeah, probably real close to 4. He protested. He's like, "It's on the menu. Make me some. I'm ordering 5 of them. Give me a Diet Coke and an orange juice." And I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?"
So they said that they can't do it. Next thing you know, he's ordering 4 McGriddle meals with 4 Diet Cokes. And now we're all driving back, and he's eating 2 McGriddles, 3 hash browns, and he's now downing every Diet Coke that's in that car. And he was the happiest kid on earth when that was going on. He was just so happy that he got McDonald's. He went to a strip club. He talked to the bartender. He was just, I'm ready to go home and go to bed.
My favorite part about that story is that you think it's going to be about the strip club, then it's about the McGriddles at McDonald's, and that just sums it all up perfectly. I just love that.
I've never seen someone love a steak, egg, and cheese bagel more than that kid.
Well, it's funny
He
when
loved those things.
we talked about that story before the show. I was thinking about that because I love those too. They don't serve them on the West Coast. Do they still serve those on the East Coast?
Yeah.
It was on the menu.
They do.
Like, the picture was there, and
Well, I don't think they serve breakfast till 6 a.m. I know.
John Mark sounded pretty confident.
They do.
I think he was there this morning.
Yeah,
I was not there this morning, but they do.
They gave
Sounds
us
pretty
breakfast at 4
confident.
a.m.
Again, guys, thanks so much for doing this. This is really fun. If you want to join the stream, we have Gensel standing by. He's on his fiance's phone. Thank God the guy got himself a lady. Just gets him a good phone connection. But if you want to join the stream, you can hop on right now. I got to throw someone off real quick. Who wants to take a break? You'll still be in the wings. We'll bring you back. You
Get
just
me
won't
off.
be
I gotta
live.
get another beer.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
Perfect timing.
Perfect. Let me see if I can find you on here. All right, there you are. All right, Spilner. We'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks so much. And ladies and gentlemen, all the way from, I think, South Bay. No, not South Bay. Where are you from, Gensel? Where are you living these days, Big G?
Costa Mesa.
Costa. I knew it was somewhere south. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend and a dear friend of Rosie's, Mike Gensel. How are you, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Evening.
What's up, Gansel?
Gensel, so happy you're able to join us. We really appreciate this. We got Spilner and Darren hanging out. We're trying to get Mitch on the stream. I sent him a message, but Mitch probably has his assistant screening it first. Gensel, tell us. Everyone's been sharing how they knew Rosie, their relationship with Rosie. Tell us your tale.
Well, with Rosie, I could vividly remember this. Todd, you could remember the night of the projectile vomit in G5. That was, I think, when we were pledging, one of the first parties that we were at. And that was actually probably one of the first few times I was up in G5, actually. And Rosie greeted us because we were the new pledge class, shirtless and as red as can be. And so I think that was actually the first time I've met Rosie. And from that time, I mean, it's talk about growing a bond with somebody. Through thick and thin, ups and downs, we've gone through, both of us, experienced a lot together as we went through college. I could vividly remember the days of playing flip cup in his room, during Super Saturdays, or just hanging out on a Wednesday night playing cards because, that was about all there was to do when it was snowing outside and cold. I know that it was always a good thing that after I graduated college, we kind of separated and I'd make my way back to town. It was always exciting to see Rosie's face because I've always sent him a text message saying, "Hey, just landed." And he goes, "Okay, what bar are you going to?" And then we would always find a way to meet up or hang out. It's get a lot of the other fraternity brothers together too when I was in town. So it was kind of like a mini homecoming every time I come back into town. I always look forward to that night of being able to meet up with the other fraternity brothers, Rosie and Fat Mike. I know that you were always on there, and I know Megan had put a personal ban on us going out, but
every time you come back into town, he would text me, and
it was always good to see
him
people
rubbing his
together.
hands together.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that was one of the things that, I know, Gensel, you could share with everyone. Rosie was planning Gensel and I both live on the West Coast, not too far from each other, about an hour away. And Rosie was planning a trip out here. And, I think the last time you guys hung out together, Gensel and I did something in LA together and we did a little tribute to Rosie. And didn't I get in trouble that night? And didn't Samara put a band on you then too?
I don't know, but you guys all heard the news. I am engaged, so I guess payback is coming.
Yeah, yes. Finally, someone tamed you.
Yeah.
Mitch is having problems letting his phone access the mic and camera, which that just sounds like Mitch. Mitch has such a secure property where no one can get in or out or listen to him that he can't even tune in for this. Excuse me. All right, who's next? Who has another story, or who wants to take a break? I can jump out. You guys can take it in.
So one of the other funny things about Rosie is that for as much as everyone he ever met loved him and he was so well known around campus, he was equally as well known with the RMU police and the residence life and the administrators at Robert Morris as well. And I think probably posthumously, he's probably still persona non grata at Robert Morris. So he liked to have too good of a time sometimes, not by our standards, but by Robert Morris's standards, and ended up making a lot of friends in the administrative offices over at Robert Morris, particularly with residence life too, because he liked to have such a good time, which is why I'm glad somebody posted a picture of Rosie next to one of the RMU police cars and included it in the slideshow at the end. So, because that's a good summary of the ups and downs of his time spent living on campus at Robert Morris also.
I would try to bring that photo up, but knowing me, I would crash this whole thing and ruin the party. But we are going to show a slideshow that Todd put together at the end of the show, so hang around for that. Real quick, breaking news, Gensel and Fat Mike and the other gentleman. Megan Jameson coming in. Megan says, Rosie always let me know on the sly when Mike hadn't shared that Gensel was going to be in town.
And I never shared when Gensel was going to be in town. So that sneak was probably texting Megan all the time. He'd get the text from Gensel, he'd text me, put his phone down, do this, and then he'd just text my wife right away.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Mike, I think someone said they can't hear you, but I hear you loud and clear.
I can hear him too. I'm also glad that Gensel mentioned about how I think you said one of the first interactions you had with Rosie is he answered the door with his shirt off. I think the time I knew Rosie had his shirt off more than it was on, and it was always at a wedding or a formal or air band, whatever activity we were doing that day. Rosie was always the first one to lose his shirt, and it was usually pretty early on in the evening. And then he would go shirtless the rest of the night. So
I think most of the time that we were at weddings and he was in the wedding, he would be wearing the vest with no shirt on by the end of the night.
Most of the pictures I saw,
yeah,
100%.
Right after introductions, he would have his vest.
You guys,
no shirt.
You guys know how someone is loved by everyone when they're in everyone's fucking wedding. I mean, excuse my language, but like Rosie was in Mitch's wedding. I mean, all of us were either in a wedding with Rosie or had him in a wedding, and just like he was loved by everyone. And Todd, you reminded me, yes, he loved taking his shirt off, which was so fun. Fat Mike, you reminded me, he always did this. He gets so excited. I don't think it's trademark. And then he also, and I found a photo of this, he loved playing air guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the penis air guitar. He always went a little too low.
Strumming a little too low.
Stroked down his crotchal region.
Yeah, he played it like bass guitar, like Flea did.
Yep.
And Megan says it best right here. It's not a party if his shirt stayed on. Your wedding sucked if he was fully clothed. I specifically remember I was in Mitch's wedding with him, and we were next to each other the whole time due to height and stature, I assume. And he at one point I was like, when's this gonna get crazy? And he's like, I'm on it. And he puts on his vest with no shirt on. It was great. Again, we're trying to get Mitch on the stream, but it won't let him access his mic or his camera, which is bizarre. Never happened in the history of SIMS TV. Let's check in. Oh, wait, we got Mitch. Mitch is on the feed. Oh, he was there, and now he disappeared. He heard me shit talking him. Mitch, come on back. We'd love to have you. We'd love to shift you in here. I wish I could bring some more on. Mitch is backstage, he says. He's not.
He's on some other random show.
Fake news. I hear a baby.
It's Nolan.
All right, here's Mitch. Who wants to take a break? Well, let's see if we can bring Mitch in. Oh, no, limit 6. Fat Mike, I'm going to give you a break, all right?
Yeah, give me a break. Yeah.
He's got to go breastfeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man formerly known as Crazy Mitch, now known as Business. I have 3 kids. I'm building an outfield, Mitch. Chris Mitchell. How's it going, Mitch?
Good, guys. How you doing?
There he is.
Doing great, man. Fat Mike is breastfeeding. Darren's playing his guitar. And Spilner, I think Spilner's in the wings somewhere, but he got another beer, I think.
Yeah, so thanks for doing this, man. It's good to get together and remember Rosie. He was just one of the best friends I've ever had in my life. Moving out to Wyoming, he constantly kept in contact with us. Anytime that we would come back in, he'd be the first person there with a phone call, waiting at a bar with a beer. So you couldn't ask for a better person in your life. The story that you guys were talking about with the truck, we had I can't remember what the party was, but we all came over to my house and
it was a New Year's party.
Yeah, the one side of my parents' driveway, there's like a 20-foot yard, and then it drops over a pretty steep hill. And we got, it was a New Year's party, so we all got, drunked up. And the next morning, he went out to go home, and he didn't want to bother anybody, but it had rained so bad the night before that when he got in his truck and he tried to leave, it just slid backwards down towards the edge of this hill that was essentially a cliff. And he kept trying to get himself out of it and kept trying to not bother anybody. And his truck actually ended up going down over that hill. And my dad had to come out with his big shop truck. It's like a semi truck with a work body on it, and hook up to it with chains and drag his truck out of there. And the guy didn't want to be a bother to anybody, and he just wanted to do everything, the Rosie way. And it got us into some pretty interesting situations. That's for sure.
I remember, could not remember the truck story other than the visual of it, and I couldn't explain it. But I do remember the party that night, barely. And I remember Rosie and I, after the truck situation, going to Eaton Park.
Of course you guys were trying to go to Eaton Park.
Rosie was like the little brother I didn't have. And that was just like, because, we looked a lot alike. we just had a great time. And I can't stop thinking, and we should bring Spilner back for this, make sure I'm telling the story right. But speaking of Eaton Park, one time when I came back from LA, and Mitch was right, Rosie would always check in on everyone. He if you moved far away, I was looking through our friendship on Facebook all the time. He was writing on my wall, making sure I was okay, asking if I beat up Jonah Hill in an alley, all these great stories and check-ins, and it was wonderful. And one time I came back and we were at Eaton Park, and Spilner and I don't know, we were waiting for our cab. We were drunked up, and we thought Rosie was in the restroom, and like 10 minutes went by, and we look in, and Rosie's sleeping in the booth that we left. I got to bring Spilner back for this. Who wants to hop out for a minute?
I could hop out.
All right, Gensel, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a minute.
Yep.
Where's Spilner? There he is. Spilner, do you remember that?
Did we go to a Steeler game or something?
Me, you, Rosie, and Borello, maybe? I think so.
I don't remember, but you're right. We were like there, and then he was asleep in the booth. We're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it was wild, man. Again, my biggest regret is not, staying in touch with anyone. And I actually feel that during this whole nightmare of COVID-19, I've been connecting with more people than ever. And when Fat Mike brought this up to do this special and to take the ridiculousness of Sims TV and put it on pause and just do something for Rosie, I was like, yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad you guys were able to join and hang out. Mitch, glad you got your phone working. You had some audio issues. No one's tapping Mitch's line.
Going too.
Mitch has a great beard going.
I had
How
to
many-
trim it down.
Out of all,
I cut like 3 inches off of this thing last week.
there's like what?
Actually, I'm with you.
You guys got to get a nice, keep it clean.
You gotta have a good seal around the face mask so it doesn't pull down on your nose.
Do you guys hear my fart chair? Hold on.
Oh yeah,
There it is. With still the
It's really-
comedy still comes.
it's really subtle.
If you're watching Sims TV tonight and you're new, thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you want to join the live stream, we got plenty of places you can hop on in. Just send me a message on Facebook, Steven Sims. That's SIMS. Someone's texting me. Is this someone who wants to get on the live stream? No, it's not important. And there's the fart chair again. So who wants to share another Rosie story?
Who
So
was he
I
at
got a
the
question
Broadhead
for-
House
for
night where you
Chris.
guys all got busted? That party got busted at the Broadhead House. Was he there for that?
Yep.
Most
there.
likely.
Yeah.
Someone's got to tell that story. That was before I pledged, so that was fall of
He was
2004.
underage at that party.
Yes, we did.
Is that the one where Carly ended up in the dryer trying to hide from the cops?
Who ended up in the dryer?
Carly, the one DZ.
All right, let's remember we're live to the world. So all I
Everybody
know,
was hiding.
all I remember about that party was, we were at an off-campus party. I was actually just turned 21, luckily. But I remember like Mitch and Spillner, who are a couple months younger than me. We're all in the same class. Spillner, you got busted. Mitch was
No, I
hiding.
didn't.
Wait, you didn't get busted? Did you run?
No, I ran through the woods.
Trinidad, were you there? Did you get
I was
busted?
there. I was there. I hid
I
in the
remember
closet
Mitch
behind
laid under like a pine tree or something.
I hid in the closet behind a drum set.
Yeah, I sat on the other side of the bushes drinking beer until the cops left.
And you know what? Knowing Rosie, he probably just took it for all of us. Right? I mean, I remember being in like the office and I knew the cops were there. And then I walked out and I was like, hey, you guys are here for the free beer too? And they were not having that. No.
I was standing on the porch with Chuck D, and I saw the cops walking through the yard, and I looked at Chuck and I said, the cops are standing there. He said, okay. So I ran into the house and I yelled, the cops are here. We should probably go hide. And Rosie was sitting there playing the cards and looks at me and just starts dealing like there's nothing going on. Like, dude, we're going down. He's like, oh, well, there we go. Doing cards.
We're in the middle of a game, guys.
Yep, pretty much.
I want to I keep trying to think of Rosie stories, but I want to also make sure to keep them clean. I mean, not that Rosie was up to no good, but the rest of us were nonsense. I mean, myself and Spillner and Mitch, especially. I can't speak for some of you other guys.
Sims, I gotta find out if Chris was there or not, but I think one of the only times I saw Rosie get annoyed to the point where I was like, okay, is we were up in A Tower and one of the pledges got on his bad side and he was like, go do laps in the pool. And the guy was like, what are you talking about? And Rosie made him go into the bathroom, into the bathtub, fill it up, and do the breaststroke in the bathtub in A5.
I want to know what that pledge did because Rosie didn't have a mean bone in his body.
No, he
But I mean, you think about like that's the extent of Rosie's getting annoyed with people is making some drunk pledge go do the breaststroke in a bathtub. That's
God, I'm like on the spot. I should have prepped some more stories. There's this great thing that Darren did, and I was gonna bring it up and show it, but it's a PowerPoint. I don't know how a PowerPoint's going to work with this modern technology. But if you guys remember, it was a PowerPoint, this dates us, that it was to the Cheers theme. Everybody knows your name. And it was Rosie, like all sad on the side of like the road holding a book. And then he goes to the cafeteria where everyone would hang out. And everyone knew him. And it was such a fun video. I'll have to send it to you guys. It was really great. Obviously, I'm the only one that remembers that.
So I actually do have a good story.
Let's hear it.
Maybe 2010, 2011, somewhere right around there. There's a bunch of us. I think Todd might have been involved. John Kokalis, Fat Mike, and our good friend Jordan Zolba. We went to Cleveland for an Indians Pirates game, and Radio was there, and
Radio.
maybe Himmel, and we just. I live up in I didn't live there at the time, but I had a golf tournament to go to, and I get to the baseball park. We went to the Indians game, and they were already 10 beers in, and it wasn't even the second inning. And I was like, what the heck is going on? We had to play a doubleheader the next morning back in Pittsburgh. So we went to the game. We drank all day, went to some adult entertainment afterwards, went back to the hotel, slept for maybe an hour, and I drove everybody back to Pittsburgh at that point.
I'm sorry. Stop everything. The greatest person on this chat just chimed in. Radio himself.
Oh, God.
Here it is, and he's a little late, but he says, yeah, I was there for the underage.
Yeah, the entire reason for the underage.
Should we bring Fat Mike out?
And for this one, he knows exactly what it is.
Fat Mike, you're on.
All right. Also, for that underage story, Radio's police report said he was found sobbing in the bushes.
It's all because of Bryan, Scheller, Matthews, too.
Radio.
That's
We
how
got to get
Radio
Radio
got his
on this
name.
stream. I'm going to send him the link right now. Sending him the link. Funny story. I actually met the real Radio in New York last year. Not the real Radio. Cuba Gooding Jr. yeah. Not the real Radio.
I mean, it's the same.
It's the same. And I was that's not important. Evan, if you want to join the video chat, please let us know. We got Mitch back. We got Gensel. Why don't I shift off a couple people and bring Gensel, Mitch, and Darren back real quick and see if anyone has any stories.
Let me finish this story, Sam.
Oh, you didn't finish your story?
No.
Great, because we're about to shift you off.
So you could shift me off after this. So we go for this, right? I'm driving back, and I'm getting tired. So I get off at Lordstown, where the big Chevy dealership was. You can't get back on the throughway to get to Pittsburgh. It goes back towards Cleveland. I get all the way back to the exit to go towards Cleveland before I realize it. He calls me a dumbass. We turn around, we go play a doubleheader, and we just reek of booze. And just it was not a fun doubleheader at all. It was very. I think we got 10 runs in both games.
That actually, I love that everyone's sharing their stories of Rosie. Again, we're from all walks of life, of Rosie's life. Some of us knew him in the early 2000s. Some of us knew him in the late 2000s. We got Radio, so we got to get him on in a minute. Hold on one second. But I want to share one quick story before we lose Spilner. Spilner, do you remember we were driving to Sandusky, Ohio for a fraternity charity thing? And Rosie held up a sign on the wall on the side of.
The only time it ever worked in my
It never works
entire
ever.
life.
We're driving down the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and Rosie puts a sign up on the window that
On the
says,
car, on the windshield. It says, "Show me your tits."
"Show me your tits." And we drive by these girls, and they do. It was insane. It never happened.
Only Rosie.
Only Rosie. All right, I'm going to shift it in a couple different people. Guys, don't go anywhere. You can listen. If you want to join back in, send me a private chat. John, Mark, Todd, and Trinidad. Cool if I shift you guys out for a minute?
Absolutely.
All right,
Yep.
Stand by. This takes a lot of power. All right, let's bring in, here he is, the man of the hour, Radio. Welcome, Radio. We're bringing Mitch, and we're going to bring Darren back in real quick, and then we'll get to Gensel in a minute. Radio, long time no see, buddy. You look good.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, you got to do what everyone else did. How did you tell us your story? How you met Rosie and how he was a part of your life?
Me and Rosie go way back. You know, he was probably one of the first finalists I met on campus. I think the night I really bonded with Rosie is when I got jumped by the KDRs. When I was pledging going back, lost my wallet for like a week. But yeah, I mean, I've been real close with Rosie. Went to my dad's funeral. It's just the type of guy he was. When I was in Scranton, he would keep contact. When I was in Iraq, he would email me. So, I mean, I still share a lot of those stories, same as you guys. But he was on a personal level. He was just there for you. He was a good brother, someone to talk to. Just an all around good guy.
Yeah, and I love that everyone keeps saying, Mitch was in Wyoming, you were in freaking Iraq, and Rosie's still reaching out and checking in on everyone. I mean, that's what he did. That's the type of person he was. And was he in your wedding radio?
Yeah, he was.
Did he pull the bit where he wore just the vest with no shirt?
Absolutely.
He did that at Mitch's wedding, too.
Right. The Fats. He was in Fats there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
we're so glad you're joining us, Radio. Darren, I see you got a guitar. You got a tribute you want to play?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This was actually the song that Rosie texted. He was trying to get, this playlist on Spotify going with all the G5, favorites, but this is one that we recall the most. I'll try to play it a little bit differently, so then it's, it's not going to get flagged by Facebook. So you'll know it after I start playing it. So let's see if you can guess the tune. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
What song? Sugar, we're going down.
I know it. I was letting you play it.
You didn't know it.
Go down, down in an era. Sugar, we're going down swinging. And I never know where to put it. I know they got kind of chugging. Going down swinging. I never know where to put it. Know they got complex, cocking and pulling.
He loved that early 2000s, and we should bring Todd back in here for this. Spilner, I'm going to hop you off for a second, okay?
All right.
You go get another beer.
I remember him and Todd jamming out at my wedding to that song at the end of the night there.
I just remember Rosie loving and Todd, you'll remember Motion City soundtrack and the Yellow Card and stuff like that. He brought that into my world back in the early 2000s.
Early to mid 2000s emo was right in his wheelhouse, and I was right there too. I mean, I'm rocking a Taking Back Sunday shirt. That was another band that he and I like to listen to. But we actually performed that song in Air Band one year. I can't remember what year it was. I think 2007 or so. And of course, I think that's one of the pictures that I included in the slideshow. I know you'll all be shocked to find out that Rosie took his shirt off during that performance as well and was whipping it around like crazy. But yeah, he loved Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, all those kind of early to mid 2000s emo bands, and Fall Out Boy was definitely one of those that he loved, and he would always rock out when we played that at weddings.
Well, Darren, that was a great rendition. We appreciate you playing it differently so we can screw Mark Zuckerberg and not get not get flagged.
I played it like dun 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 dun. Yeah, we did a little bit variation there.
So,
hey, Sims, I got one for you, bud.
Well, hold on. Before you say that, I just want to make note real quick. Out of everyone that's on this stream, we have Radio, Mitch, Genstel, Todd, Fat Mike, Darren, myself, Trinidad, Spilner, and John Mark. But just on this, I mean, right here, this screen alone, all six of us, wasn't he in 3 of your weddings?
Yeah.
Todd, Mitch, and
Four. He was a reader at the ceremony for ours.
Well, listen,
Yeah,
there's no one was a better reader than Rosie.
I think wasn't he he was the chaplain at one point in time in the fraternity.
I think so.
He would always read the prayer in the back.
He was a great reader.
He was a Catholic, wasn't he? He was pretty devout, Catholic. He always went to church, and so he had that side of him too, which was an interesting dichotomy based on weekends up in G5.
All right, we want to get to Mitch's story, but I want to rotate. Mitch, should I rotate anyone else in for your story?
No, it's it's about after Frank Jupin's wedding and the after party in the hotel. So,
which we've learned already, Rosie was the infamous wedding hotel guy.
So yeah, we're Jupin gets married, and we all go back to the hotel after the after party, and Lauren and I have our room, and in come walking in Tugboat and Rosie had his underwear only on. He was in rare form, and we probably spent another hour and a half in our room just BSing. And Tugboat gets up and leaves, and Rosie curls up on the dresser and falls asleep in our room on the dresser in his underwear. And he wakes up the next morning. He's like, "What am I doing here?" Like, dude, I don't even know.
The stories are endless, and even people are commenting. Nick Hollabaugh would love Radio to share a story. He says, ask Radio about the Wolverine chest and Radio almost cutting off his nipples. Radio, tell us.
Was that a Super Saturday?
That was a bad day. Yeah, he was shaving my chest for me for the ladies. And I got frustrated and took over and almost shaved off my nipples hanging there. I got about halfway through it.
Yeah, I think Rosie later on after college, we had a party at Radio's house, his current house where he lives now. And we had a get together, of once a year. All of us would get together, and Radio promised that he was going to get a tattoo in a particular place on his body. And Rosie said, "I'll shave it for you."
Very unpleasant place.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we all have the visual burned in the back of our heads of Rosie giving Evan a Radio a particular haircut in a particular
just
place.
legs up above Radio's head. Rosie just down in there, just with the razor and shaving cream.
So I don't know what it is about Rosie and Radio and their history of hair removal, but it continued on throughout their friendship.
He did it. Rosie did it to me too, and my entire body got shaved minus the back of my legs.
When you look like Uncle Fester.
Yeah, they shaved my head, my eyebrows. They left my facial hair because nobody wants to see 8 chins. They shaved what little chest hair I had. They shaved the front of my legs, but left the back of my legs hairy. Just let me go.
The eyebrows was the worst. You look like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
So I have an interesting story about Rosie.
That's what I look like when I met my wife.
What was that, Fat Mike?
That's what I looked like when I met my wife. My eyebrows were on its way growing back in.
And here
your wife says we showed the picture to your daughter a few weeks ago, and she wanted to be removed from the family. Darren has a story. Darren, and then we'll rotate into some other guys.
Yeah, so this was one of the early days when we were still pledging, and we had to go around to each of the brothers, and Zach at the time was known as like the devil. So all of his to get his signature, you do something like really drastic. Mine was eating 5 atomic wings at Quaker Steak. Somehow I did that, and I got a signature. Rosie's was a little bit more complicated. I don't know how he accomplished this, but he did. And the funny part of the story was after the fact. The not funny part is that Zach said, "You got to eat an entire can of chew." So he was just like, well, whatever, guys. I'm just gonna, do this. So I think Sims was there. I think there was a trash can in.
I was there, but I don't want anything. Any relation with what anything Zach did in college. I want nothing to do with that.
So anyway, he eats the can of chew. He eats the can of chew. I have no clue because I never did chew before, so I have no idea what his what are the consequences of eating a whole can of chew? Fat Mike, what could you say since you do chew? Is it good for you?
What Rosie did was put the whole can in his mouth. So he started in the back, and he had it all through here, and then he started stuffing his upper lip. And that's, I mean, a whole can is that's a lot of chew, and it did not end well for Rosie.
So basically, his comment. I remember Steve saying this was his classic comment was, "Ah, man, that was a whole dinner's worth or something about his meal plan going all down the trash can." Because he said he spent like $21.95 at the cafeteria for like a steak or something, and just after that can of chew, $21.95 just went down the drain because of that. But that kind of showed his dedication to the pledge class, and then also making sure that Zach Stainbrook would give his signature as a result. But that's one of those stories that I remember we took a picture of him. I made sure I captured the moment. It's somewhere out there, but it's.
I hate to say it, I have it. We're not going to share it, but I want to bring in John Mark again real quick. So Darren, I'm going to flip you out because you actually brought something to my attention, Darren, that I want the younger guys that were in the fraternity to talk about for a second. So we're going to flip you out for a second, okay?
Okay.
Go back to work on another Rosie tribute song.
All right.
Maybe a country. That might have been the greatest moment ever. Darren starts laughing and you just cut him off. John Mark, welcome back to the stream. Just want to say you brought something to my attention yesterday, and I kind of talked on this briefly, but you, or maybe it was Fat Mike, Rosie just knew everything about Phi Delta Theta PA Pi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime there was any sort of question, and we'd get to drinking, and we'd start talking about bond numbers or who was in what pledge class. That was the phone call I made. Was called Rosie because he didn't even have to look anything up. It was stored in his head because he had that knowledge base of Phi Delta.
He knew bigs. He knew family trees. He could go all the way back to bond number 1.
It's crazy. Gensel, what do you got to say?
Well, I can tell you I was when I first saw, I was talking to Fat Mike or so, texting with him over last weekend, and I was trying to go back in my mind and think, what is the most memorable Rosie moment? And I can, there's so many of them, but the one that's been everlasting, and I think I've told this story to a bunch of other brothers, it was Christmas, probably 3-4 years ago. I flew back, and he just got a job at freight management for GNC, and then GNC ended up laying him off, and then he ended up getting a job pretty quick at Dick's Sporting Goods. And we're both in transportation, so we're at a bar down on the south side, talking. We're having a good old time. There's a bunch of brothers out there, like we always used to do over Christmas time. We would always have a big old group out. And me and him, he Smirnoffed me. And then so after I'm done, I pounded the Smirnoff, we're talking, and I bought a round of our shots were always 2. It was either Washington apples or red-headed sluts, or a lot of different other things. And we're talking back and forth, and he goes, "Hey, Gensel, you know what the difference is between us in college and us now?" And I go, "Dude, what? Like, it could be a million things." He goes, "We got money," right? Because it was always about dollar beers, this and that. He goes, "Look at this! I'm gonna run $100 bar tab tonight. We got money. We're good to go." And I go, "Wow, man!" It's like it was a realizing. It was like one of those things you had to be in the moment, but at the same time, it was always that he was living for the moment. It was always the positive attitude. It was always bring out the best in somebody. And I think that's what he did. I mean, even like when we were at Big Jeezy's wedding up in Toronto, he was like, "Yo, everybody's passed out. Let's go, Gensel." And I'm like, "All right." So like the 2 of us leave, and we have a good old time. Out bouncing around the city of Toronto, 4 a.m. in the morning with nothing going on. We end up walking back because it was 10 degrees outside. The other big thing is I have it close, but when I was pledging, I could vividly remember I turned 21. It was the end of the fall semester. His birthday was in December. And Rosie's thing was always when you turn 21, you get a shot list and you sign your name next to it. And I actually found my shot list. I don't know how I dug it up, but when I was just moving, I found a couple old boxes for college, and I was going through it. And the first shot on the list was from Rosie. And then the second shot was from Fat Mike. And then the third shot was from Fat Mike. And then the fourth shot was from Fat Mike. And then the fifth shot was from Fat Mike. And then the sixth shot was from Fat Mike. And then the seventh shot was from Fat Mike. And then the eighth shot was from Fat Mike. And then the ninth shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 10th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 11th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 12th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 13th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 14th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 15th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 16th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 17th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 18th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 19th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 20th shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 21st shot was from Fat Mike. And then the 22 and it was at the old Ground Round across the street that doesn't exist anymore, and it was liquid cocaine shot, and then it was a night to remember. After that, it got pretty sloppy afterwards, but you know how that goes. So it was just I found that like probably like 3 weeks ago or so as I was unpacking boxes. I'll find it and send it across, but literally first shot, liquid cocaine from Rosie, 21st birthday. So he was officially the first person to buy me a shot on my birthday.
He was always there to just be there for people. I mean, he loved being there. Anyone else out of Fat Mike, Radio, Todd? Anyone have anything?
I had moved off campus with Tom K. Radio was there too, because Radio got kicked off campus. But Rosie was living at home for a little while because of the trouble we spoke of before with the campus, and he would just call one of us like a Friday night or Saturday, or even like a Thursday. It was just whatever. He'd just call one of us and be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing tonight?" We're like, "Sitting around in gym shorts. Like, we're not doing anything." He'd be like, "Good, let me in. I got a case of beer. We're gonna party." And I was like, "You were already here. Like, what if I said I wasn't home?" Like and I'd go to the door, open up, and he'd be on the porch with his bag packed to spend the night, and a case of beer, and like a double cheeseburger or something. And he did that like every other weekend. He would just appear, just off from like he just got sprinkled down from the cloud, and he would just
I think we gave him
appear
a
on your
key.
porch. Yeah, I think we did end up giving him a key because he would just appear so many times. Yeah.
This is so fun, guys. If you got comments, if you want to chime in, please join us. Should we play the Todd Rosie video now or save that to the end?
I mean, I'd do that last just in case.
Well, I just want to make sure I'm not keeping anyone. It's only 8 o'clock here. You guys are all hanging with me.
Listen, we're on quarantine. The world doesn't exist right now. We're just spinning in a circle right now.
So let's bring in a couple other people back from the feed. Let's who wants to bounce out for a few minutes? Who needs to get a beer?
I got a pee-pee.
Okay, Fat Mike's bouncing out. Spillner, you want to bounce in? Here he comes, Spillner.
So I actually do have another story for you.
Let's hear it.
It was actually last year. Gensel was in town. We had our bar crawl. And we were bouncing from bar to bar. Gensel and Rosie. I think you got gyros.
Two of them.
Or was that you and Fat? Was that you and Fat? It might have been him and Fat. They got gyros. Next thing I know, we're at the final bar, and everybody wants to go to the casino. Let's all go to the casino. We're going. So Gensel and Rosie and Fat Mike and myself, we go over to the casino, and it's getting late, and I gotta get home. And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go over to the strip club right over around the corner." I was like, "All right, well, I'm going home. I'm not doing this." I get a text at like 2:00 in the morning from I think it was Fat, might have been Fat, and he was like, "Dude, it was on another level tonight." I was like, "No, I'm kind of upset that I didn't stay out. It was a good time." So
my question is, how many of you are sleeping on the couch tonight because of John Mark's strip club story?
I got left. That's all I can say. I got left.
Let's float someone out and bring Trinidad back in. Who wants to take a break?
I can step out.
Gensel, you gonna step out, get a beer? I'm sure you need a cocktail.
I'm gonna go find that. Yep.
All right, let me see where you are here. Here we go. Trinidad, back in.
Yo.
Did you say you took off tomorrow just to stay up late?
I did.
And you're a government worker.
I am essential.
You are essential. Tell us what you do.
I work for the United States Postal Service.
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you get your mail right there.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah, not tomorrow.
Radio coming in out of nowhere. Trinidad, you got any other stories you want to share or anything?
I think I got one that sort of involves John Mark there and Fat Mike. So Rosie and I grew up, we played baseball together every summer. We always ended up on the same team because we were the last two picks. And he called me up one summer after college and said, "Hey, some of the Fidelts have this softball team. We need one more player. You want to play? I said, yeah, I'll play some softball. Probably drink some beer. And so, I'm getting geared up. I find my glove. About 2 days before this game, he called me up and said, oh, by the way, it's not this beer league softball. Apparently it's wood bat league baseball. There's a little bit of a difference between softball and wood bat baseball. So I hadn't played baseball in 9-10 years. We get out there, and the other team has freaking Garrett Cole on the mound. And I haven't hit a live pitching in 10 years, and this kid's throwing 90-some mile an hour. And so me and Rosie look at each other like, yeah, we're so screwed. I think I ended up with a base hit. I went 1 for 8. I think he was 0 for 10.
No, he got hit 3 times.
The one that sticks out of my mind, he was playing second base. And here comes this little dribbler to him. And he would have to take 2 steps to his left and have an easy throw to first base. He looks at whoever was playing first base, points at him and says, you got this on your own. He just walks the other way.
Like I said, Chris, that was the night that we came back from Cleveland and that we were in no position to be playing.
Not to mention it was 90 degrees and we're wearing black T-shirts.
Yes, it was so hot. We're just sweating booze. And Rosie ended up getting hit 3 times in the shoulder in that game. He got beamed 3 times in those 2 games.
They had to take out our secret weapon, the best player.
Fat Mike, who is peeing and still typing, says, what a day that was.
Yeah, he didn't tell me we were playing 2 games either. I didn't bring any water, nothing.
Spilner, you got another Rosie story?
I was just thinking, do you remember why we were going to Sandusky?
Yeah, it was for like a fraternity, like
Cedar Point.
Cedar Point, yeah.
Cedar Point. Remember how terrible that was?
We've all been there.
Yeah, that was terrible. But Rosie got those girls to show us their boobs. That was kind of cool.
So the other thing I'm glad I was able to include a picture in the slideshow. You'll see. I think Radio. I got it from your Facebook or somebody's. Is just I vividly remember on weekends late at night. For those of you that went to Robert Morris Hometown Pizza, and you could always assure that whenever the night was close to being over, before Hometown closed, Rosie would have them have his hometown order in and a pizza waiting there, and he would be chowing down on a slice of Hometown pizza before the night was over. And there's a picture of that in the slideshow.
I would do anything to sit down with Rosie right now and have a giant Hometown pizza with him.
Mm-hmm.
Came with the 4 drinks.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, Trinidad?
They're back in business, I believe, as of 2 weeks ago. Hometown is up and running.
Well, they're not going to deliver to me. I mean, maybe they will during COVID-19. Got to get the business. Should we keep this going?
Chris, where'd they go in? Did they go in that old Dunkin'
Selma's.
Donuts over there?
It's confirmed.
Yeah,
Hometown is back.
Yeah.
Yep. Across from Sheets.
Yeah.
The old Selma's barbecue is now Hometown.
I am happy to keep this going. I just need to know if I should have more beers delivered. Fat Mike just put a phone number up.
That's Hometown Pizza. 272. Get the R&B special, $10.
$10 a pizza and 4
1
drinks.
topping and
Was it $10 is a
four
thought?
Mountain Dews.
Yeah, Fat Mike tried to order Hometown from Tampa, Florida the one time and have it delivered. That was a good one.
And Kara Folk says, word on the street, Hometown's back.
That's true.
Oh, it's back.
Oh, it's
not,
back,
Not
baby.
fake news.
Not fake news. How we doing? Who's next? Radio, you got another one? Anyone in the wings? Gensel, I don't know what we're looking at on Gensel's screen. We're not going to bring that in. Darren has his
I'll tell
guitar.
you
And,
another one. This is Rosie's charm.
whoa, Spilner.
Sorry.
Sorry, if you want to talk.
Tearing up your office over there.
But do any of you guys know Marco?
I got some other stories I could share probably offline. Sims that
Marco?
might be more appropriate for.
Yeah, we're running out of
The kid in the
stories.
wheelchair, right?
Stories for the guy.
But anyway,
The kid in the wheelchair, correct? Chris?
yeah, I was good friends with Marco. Marco was a huge Pirate fan. And, he had season tickets for the Pirates. And when Marco passed away, they left his season tickets for me. So I took Rosie to the home opener, like the biggest game of the year. we have these 2 tickets for this sold out game. After the game was over, I walked down to the first baseline and I tried to reach over the railing and grab some dirt to take home in remembrance of Marco. Well, there was a cop standing right there, and he absolutely forbid me to do it. I said, this is kind of a big deal for me. My buddy passed away. I just want to get some dirt. He said, absolutely not. Rosie looks at the cop and said, dude, like one of our best friends passed away. It was a giant pirate fan. Let the kid get some dirt. By the end of the time, Rosie was done talking to this guy, I was out on the pitcher's mound getting dirt from the pitcher's mound to take home with me. Anyone he talked to, he could get what he wanted.
I think everyone got distracted because someone random. Does anyone know a muck rain?
Who?
Merc Rain.
Not even giving them the time of day. Got some trollers on here. What they don't know is that we'll go to their house and beat them up. Gensel, let's bring in Gensel real quick. Gensel, anything else you want to add?
No, so while I was refreshing my beer, I grabbed it. I don't know how good it's going to come across, but the old Hula Hands receipt for that shot list.
Is that your shot list?
It is 21.
Here, we can put you up on the big screen. Let's see it.
So the first shot, let me see here. Trying to, right there, liquid cocaine.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Liquid cocaine. Anyone?
Haven't had one since.
Radio, John, Mark, Spilner, Chris, Gensel, anyone want to share any other stories? I think we should start to wrap things up here in a minute because one of 2 things is going to happen. We're either going to tell stories we shouldn't tell or we're going to tell stories we shouldn't tell.
You got that one right.
Yeah.
All right, let me rotate Darren in real quick. Gensel, I'll bring you back in a second. Stand by. Darren, anything else you want to add?
Yes. Actually, while I was in the green room, I learned a cover here for our good friend by the namesake.
One of a kind. We appreciate you being here.
Just,
thank you so much.
That was, for his namesake. So
I love it. I'm gonna rotate you out.
I feel like I'm like the Roots. I'm like the Roots of your show.
Yeah, you're something of the show.
I'm like. I'm like.
I'm gonna start to bring people out. Radio, you got anything else you want to add before we say goodbye?
I'm good.
Radio, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great seeing you, buddy. Yeah. Stick around. We're going to play a little tribute video that Todd put together. Speaking of, let's see if Todd has anything. Todd, you want to add anything before we wrap up?
No, I think I can't say anything that hasn't already been said about him. And sure miss him a lot.
Someone needs to take their shirt off in Rosie's honor. Todd, I think that's going to be you.
He's no one can pull it off quite like Rosie could.
Todd said it best. No one can pull it off.
There's only one person that could take their shirt off anywhere, anytime.
And it'd be completely acceptable.
All right, let's bring in Gensel real quick. Darren, any last words or anything you want to share?
I just want to say, just like Rosie said in the all-male review documentary, he said, Darren, I love you, man. I think, Rosie, I love you, man. I hope you're watching this.
All right. Well, thanks, Darren. We appreciate you joining us. Let's bring in Gensel real quick for last couple things, and then we'll wrap things up with Fat Mike. Gensel, how are you?
Good.
You do that liquid cocaine shot?
No, I didn't. I'm drinking Mango Cart, so we're keeping it PG tonight. But I'll just leave everybody that's watching with, I think, some good advice that Rosie had passed on to me, and it was pretty late in the night, the last day we actually saw him alive. and it was go big or go home.
So
As we were sitting at the blackjack table, so
well, Gensel,
he crushed it that night. So go big or go home.
John Mark went
Gensel,
home, apparently.
thank you so much for joining us. Trinidad, you have any thing you want to wrap up with?
Nah, he's one of a kind, man. Thanks, Sims, for doing this. He's
Hey,
known the kid my entire life.
my pleasure. Rosie was a great friend, and he loved comedy, and what better place to honor him than this ridiculous, stupid show? Spilner, anything you want to add?
Nothing that anybody hasn't really said. I mean, he really was one of a kind, like Chris just said. So,
John Mark?
I got nothing. Everybody said everything about Rosie. He's just one of those guys. He was like the mayor. He made sure that everybody knew him. Everybody knew who he was. He made sure that everybody was happy, and if they weren't happy, he knew a way to make you happy.
Yeah, he really was one of a kind. All right, let's bring in his close friend, Todd. I'm going to push you out for a second. Thanks for joining us. And Todd, ladies and gentlemen, put together the video that we're going to show in a minute here. Let's bring in Fat Mike real quick to close things out for us. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Mr. Fat Mike. There he is. What an entrance.
Thanks for this. This was fun.
No, this was great, and I really appreciate all you guys joining in. This is Sims TV. We're here whenever the hell you want us to be. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's wrap things up with a little tribute to Rosie. I'm going to pull everyone out. John Mark, thank you. Spilner, thank you. Trinidad, thank you. G Money, thank you. And Fat Mike, thank you so much for thinking of this and putting it together. Ladies and gentlemen, our little tribute to Rosie. Here it is. We're thinking of you, bud. Take care.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through, that I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way, from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling strong, and what's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken, the love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach, so remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began.